Hi everybody, and welcome back to my YouTube channel. If you're joining me for the first time, I'm Julie Montague, American Viscountess, and I have a whole series on English country houses, great estates, stately homes, castles, but as well I do vlogs like this from time to time. A lot of you have asked if I could do a video on how I met my Viscount. How on earth did I meet my husband with this really long title, Viscount Hinchingbrooke? And it's really, I just wanted to tell you just a little bit more about sort of like how I married into the aristocracy. But I think that obviously has to start with, in one sense, how I met my husband. And how on earth did I end up here, a girl from Illinois? Well, I had moved over to London for my job, and I was working in London, and I went to a drinks party, but not because I was actually one of the guests, and actually neither was my husband. We were both invited to a drinks party by two of our friends. Well, my friend I was invited by, and his friend he was invited by, and they happened to be mutual friends. They were actually working the party. So it was their kind of company, if you like, drinks party. They were launching a shoe, to be honest. So they were launching, I mean, I can tell you, it was a Jimmy Choo. We're rather embarrassed about it now. It was a Jimmy Choo drinks party launching like some new shoe. So, but our friends were both working for the company Jimmy Choo. So they said to both of us individually, separately, come to this drinks really quickly. If you come at this time, I would have finished work and then we can go to dinner afterwards. What happened was both Luke and I arrived and they were incredibly, incredibly busy. So they said, okay, we're so busy, we're gonna have to stay here a little bit longer. Oh, Luke, this is Julie. Julie, this is Luke. Why don't the two of you talk to each other? Because technically we actually weren't guests. It was almost like we kind of, gate crashed, if you like, the party. So we ended up speaking to each other at this drinks party, and when both of our friends came up to us, said, okay, right, we're done doing our shift or working, we're ready to go out for dinner. One of them said, but why don't the four of us go out to dinner, since we were all going out to dinner separately anyway. So the four of us went out to dinner, and that is really how it started. Both Luke and I realized that we lived a street away from each other in London, and that what joined our street together was a cinema. He had started his film school. He was very much into film. I had a monthly pass at the cinema, so I could go unlimited times to the cinema. And our first technical date, if you like, was actually going to the cinema. And we just met at the cinema, and that is how I met my husband. And really the rest is history. But I will tell you something very bizarre about that date that I found really strange, that British people do that I'm certain Americans don't. So when we both arrived to meet at it was a very casual date to meet. It was 5 doors away from my house. The cinema was, to meet at the cinema. He asked me if I would like any ice cream. and I was like, no, but do they have like buttered popcorn? And he was like, no, everybody gets ice cream. I'm like, ice cream? Like, why would you, it's freezing cold in England all the time. Why would you have ice cream? But it's true. If you've ever been to, gone to see a play at the West End, and there's the break, the intermission, there's people coming out with tubs of little mini ice creams, and everybody's eating ice creams. It's the same thing in the cinema. They have ice cream instead of popcorn. But of course they do have popcorn, but you can only get like sweet popcorn, or sweet and salty popcorn, or salty popcorn. There really isn't this like amazing buttered popcorn. So that was kind of that was the first date. And one of the strangest things I found was eating, by the way, I said no. He did have his ice cream. I didn't have anything. So when did I find out that he was a Viscount? Well, it was months after we were dating. I'm not even kidding you. So about 3 months into dating, I always thought of him as Luke Montague, and I still think of him as that today. But I knew nothing about the titles, and that might surprise you, but it's really, really true. We were on a ferry on our way over to the Isle of Wight, and he was paying for the tickets, and he pulled out his credit card, and his credit card said Viscount Hinchingbrooke. But I looked at that and I literally said, why on earth does your credit card say Viscount Hinchingbrooke? And he looked at me in somewhat horror and said, no, it's not pronounced that way. It's pronounced Viscount Hinchingbrooke. So of course I looked at him again in sort of disbelief, saying, why would it be Viscount and not Viscount when it's spelled exactly like discount, right? So he then, on the ferry ride over, which is about 40 minutes, had to explain to me his family's illustrious past. And that is where, of course, I learned about not only the first Earl of Sandwich, where the title firstly presented itself and was given to the family by Charles II, because Edward Montague was a great naval officer. He was head of the Admiralty, and he used to be fighting for the Cromwells. He was part of the Cromwellian army, and then he switched sides and became a royalist. Now, of course, the favorite snack that we all eat, the sandwich, was named after my husband's ancestor, but that was much later on, and that was the 4th Earl of Sandwich. And the rumor is, I'm going to give you the truth here, so listen closely. The rumor is that it was named a sandwich because the 4th Earl liked to gamble, and so at one of his late night gambling sessions, he asked his butler to bring him a piece of roast beef, but put it between 2 pieces of bread so that his cards wouldn't get greasy. I'm going to tell you the truth right now, so get ready. We believe, and we've been told, and we are obviously his ancestors, is that he was such a great politician and, of course, head of the Admiralty, and very, very busy, that he was working at his desk all of the time, that sometimes he didn't eat and leave his desk and eat lunch in the dining room or elsewhere. And so he asked his butler to bring him roast beef between 2 pieces of bread so he wouldn't get his papers greasy. That, you've heard it here first. Now, that doesn't mean that he didn't gamble and didn't also, of course, have that sandwich next to him when he was gambling, but we believe that the true story comes from the fact that he didn't want to get his very important papers greasy. Thank you all so much for joining me here, and I hope I answered your questions on how I met my Viscount, AKA my husband. And of course, do leave any questions or comments down below, and I will definitely be sure to answer all of them. Any other questions that you have about how I met my husband, hopefully this all makes a little bit more sense. Be sure to subscribe to my channel, and do check out the other videos on my channel, not only just the vlogs that I have, but of course the American Viscountess Historic Houses series as well. Thanks, everybody.